How's it going, everybody? And welcome to week one of the Ready for Change Nutrition Challenge. So, what we're going to start off with is your energy balance and just getting a good understanding of this. This is probably going to be the most important post of the whole thing. So, um, get your notepad out and write some notes if needs be. But this is going to build a nice foundation going forward. Okay. So, first things first, what you need to know about energy balance. So, calories in, calories out. Online, this is put very simply. It is completely true. It does come down to this, but what I'll explain over this mini lecture is how hard it can be for some people. Okay, so calories in, calories out. So calories in is obviously going to be your food. Calories out is going to be the energy expenditure you do from exercise and just moving about during the day. Okay, so you have three tools. So you have a deficit, maintenance, and surplus. They're your tools. The method you choose is your choice. Okay, so we'll start with maintenance. Maintenance is when you have enough calories to maintain a certain weight. Okay, you're probably going to be fluctuating throughout this or throughout a normal week. You've probably gone into a slight deficit, and you've had more calories, gone into a surplus. But over the week, you're balanced out, and that's how you stay at a certain weight over a certain period of time. Okay, so your calories don't work on a 24-hour clock. So if we're going to take a deficit, for example, that's when we go under your maintenance, say 300 to 500 calories less than your maintenance over a period of time. I can't emphasize that as much as I can. That's when you're going to lose weight. Okay, so well, I have it there. Fat loss happens when the body stays in a consistent energy deficit. So that's over a period of time. Consistent, underline that, have it in bold. This is done by eating less or moving more, or ideally both. So if you're in new era, obviously you're going to be doing both by training, going cardio, and staying in a energy deficit or surplus if you're trying to put on weight. Okay. So the size of the deficit drives the difference. What do I mean by that? You're probably saying, Rob, why can't I just eat whatever I want and then just do more exercise the next day? Okay, so I had a cake last night. I'll go for a 10K run and just burn it off. You don't burn that many calories exercising, unfortunately. Okay, so technically you can, but you probably run into a lot of injuries just trying to burn off that 300 to 500 calories. Okay, so it's a lot easier if you manipulate your calories to stay in the deficit, or if you want to put on weight, obviously a surplus, than trying to exercise or move more or move less. Okay, now this is your calories. So this is your total daily energy expenditure, so TDEE. And we're going to start off with that pink one, your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. That is basically the calories you need to survive. Okay, so if I was in a perfectly temperatured room, lying down, organs just working and dreaming, your brain burns calories as well. That's the amount of calories I need to survive. Okay, so you can see how large it is. So that's pretty much the cards that you dealt with when you were born. Look over to the left, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis in the green is quite a large portion. So that's the 23 hours of the day that you're not exercising. That's when you're moving and making the right choices of, okay, I'm going to park a little bit further away. Can I get more steps in? Can I walk to the shops if it's close by instead of driving? Can I use the stairs instead of the elevator? Clean the car, clean the house, and so on. Really, really simple. So that is quite a large portion. So if you're going to manipulate anything, it would have a more of an emphasis and more of a focus on, can you get more steps in? Can you move more outside of exercise? Next up is the purple one, the thermic effect of food. So you actually burn calories depending on what food you eat. Okay, so protein has the highest thermic effect of food. So if you have a high protein diet, you're actually burning more calories. The last one is your activity or exercise activity thermogenesis. So that's the 45 minutes you do in New Era, or the run that you do, or the cardio room. That's the little sliver of calories that you burn throughout the whole day from exercise. Okay, so whatever your Fitbit says, your Apple Watch says, it's not correct. Okay, they they work on like algorithms, so very generic. Okay, so factors impacting your basal metabolic rate. So these are the cards you're dealt with. Okay, so like I said, social media, they say calories in, calories out. It's really simplified. That's how you lose weight. Yes, it is right, but it can be a lot harder for some people than other people. And it's good to have the knowledge and the awareness of why it can be harder for people. So that's why I want to explain all this to you. So, first things first, sex. Uh, Women typically have less muscle than men, okay? And if you have less muscle and you're more body fat, let's just say, you don't need to burn as much calories because muscle is metabolically active. So you burn a lot more calories when you have more muscle. Your age, so you might have heard the thing of my metabolism slowed down as I age. Yes, but that's because of lean muscle mass starts to decrease because of that anabolic resistance. So if you're not having enough protein and not exercising, you have a dampened response to protein as you age, and due to that, you start to lose muscle mass, lean muscle mass, and that's why. Okay. So next one is your body size, smaller versus bigger. So if you're a smaller woman, 5 foot versus myself, 6'1", and if I have more muscle than you, then I'm going to need a lot more calories than yourself. Okay. Body composition, like I said, with sex, more muscle, more metabolically active tissue. So that's why we want to put on as much muscle as we can. Um, and obviously for the reasons of we don't want to fall over when we're older and get a fracture and so on. Hormones, genetics, and ethnicity. So hormones is going to be that can influence your BMR. So if you're taking any medications, that may influence what your maintenance is. So we have to be wary of that. Your genetics, if you're the type to look at a dumbbell and put on muscle, you've got dealt a great hand, and obviously ethnicity as well. So if you're Asian, you're a smaller man, and you kind of get the drift. Okay, so very similar. They all kind of link in with each other. Last one, fitness level. That's more. You can kind of put this or put it in the next one, but fitness level is. I play football. If someone came in, hasn't played football or hasn't done any training towards my level of football, came in, I will burn less calories than them because I'm more efficient. I'm more adapted to that sport. Or if someone's a long distance runner and I'm only used to sprinting, they're going to burn less calories than me because they're more efficient. Okay. So it is a lot tougher with the cards that you're dealt. Like, for example, if you are a 5 foot woman that isn't a genetic freak, that has loads of muscle, um, and is a little bit older, say in their 50s, 60s, that's going to affect your BMR. So you're going to have a lot less calories to play around with. So it will be hard to stay in the deficit if you are dealt them cards. Okay. Holistic influences on energy balance. It's a lot of all these different things that you don't hear in social media other than calories in, calories out. So what social media doesn't understand, social norms. We're social creatures. We like to go out. We have social meals with people. We go for coffees. We have cakes and so on. Your daily lifestyle, depending on your job. Okay, so if you have a job at a desk or you're sitting in a van all day driving around, your NEAT is not going to be that high, so that's going to influence how many calories you can have. Early life habits, that's actually quite important as well. So if you are in a family that doesn't really value health growing up, it's going to be a lot harder to build these habits as we get older, because they're obviously ingrained in us. Environment. So, do you have access to healthy food, or are you right beside somewhere that's like a fast food place? Societal evaluation. Do your friends value health? Do your family value health? Is the person at home with you? Do they value health? It's going to make it a lot harder. It's going to have a lot more of a pushback. Okay. Psychological ambivalence. Okay, so we're all going to run into this. This is inevitable. So take yourself going out for a social meal with your friends. You're counting your calories. You're doing the challenge. everybody's having a dessert. I want cake, but the guilt of actually having cake, I don't know what to do here. So I want it because it tastes nice, but I don't want it because I want to stick to me values. Um, that's going to happen. It's completely fine to have cake. It's completely fine. There's no foods that we have to demonize. Okay, but the structures that we can do around that, that we can fit it in. Okay, so if that's having a breakfast and lunch, that's a little bit more structured. That we plan the cake later on the day. Completely fine. So that means you don't have to be the person at the dinner that's saying, "Oh no, I'm not having cake and count my calories." We hate that person. Eat your calories. Enjoy your social meals. Physiological. Ooh, I said that well. Physiology. Physiology. There we go. Appetite regulation, medication, and satiety signaling. Okay, so appetite regulation. This is just being aware of um, your food and how you feel after food, and do you need to graze all day? So it's actually okay to feel a little bit of hunger, uh, and listen to your hunger cues. Okay, medication similar to your hormones, so this could affect your BMR if you're having a certain type of medication, and satiety signal. So if we have a lot of excess fat for a certain period of time, we can be a little bit more resistant to our signaling. I'm going to put a post up maybe in week 2 about that. So it can be a lot harder for people if they don't have the hunger cue of, oh, I'm feeling a lot full, a lot more full now. I don't want to eat anymore, because then that's it. Signaling is being blocked. Okay, so that's your leptin. So your last one, the food noise. Love me little picture that I put in here. So food noise. All my Instagram reels are food reviews. People going out having burgers, pizzas. So it's always in my face. But sometimes I don't actually like looking at my Instagram. Marketing your ads, every second ad is going to be food. And we have a culture now, because food is so accessible, that we constantly graze and we don't listen to our appetite regulation. Especially if I'm in my kitchen now, if I'm sitting in my kitchen, um, I'm 2 feet away from the snack drawer. Okay. So constantly want to just get up and eat. All right. But knowing that um, just gives me a better awareness around it. So after all that, you're saying, well, so it's not just calories in, Rob. Um, you're probably going to ask me, I can't lose weight because of my genetics. Then you've killed me, Rob. What can I do now? This is week 1. No, your genetics can make losing weight harder, but they don't override the principle of energy balance. Okay, so your body remains the most accurate food diary you possess. So a lovely little study done in 2011. So only 20% of dieters maintain their weight loss after 5 years. The 80% don't often focus on excessive restriction rather than education, habit change, and a balanced approach that fits their life. Okay, that's that. So only 20%, 20 to 80%. Nuts. So what do we do now to fix this? So the things that you need to focus on is your awareness, consistency, and compassion. So awareness, understand your body. Are you hungry? Are you listening to your hunger cues? See how your body feels after certain foods. Okay, so even week 1, that's probably the main thing to focus on. How does your body feel when you have whole foods compared to ultra processed foods? Um, See how long that makes you feel more satiated and full. How does a high protein and fiber diet feel compared to a lower protein and lower fiber diet? Consistency, that's going to be the main thing. So small, steady steps outweigh waiting for perfection. So if you take week 1, I'd much rather you get, if I was going to go on a grading system, I'd much rather you get a C plus for the 7 days, making loads of mistakes, um, rather than doing 2 to 3 days of getting an A or A plus, and then the other 4 days being an F. Okay, so small, steady steps, and being aware of where you're getting your food from, aware of how you're feeling, and the responses of a whole food diet. That's where you're going to get your success from. And then the last thing that's kind of looked over, especially with men, is compassion. Okay, so treat yourself with kindness because mistakes will happen. Okay, so not losing the control that you have. You have the cake, you have the snacks. It doesn't turn into a big, massive binge, and then you feel an over sense of guilt, and then you overly restrict the next day, and then it's just a cycle of really good to the A plus to the F. Uh, so you're completely fine. Have your cake, have a little bit of whatever you want. You can overeat, but then just be aware the next day and just get back on track. Okay, so really important then three things: awareness, consistency, and compassion. All right, so that's me trying to go as fast as I can through this because my last time I did it, I was like 20 minutes long. And then there's my lovely photos, and I just found that photo of myself funny looking, so I threw it in at the end. But they're the meals I did for the week. Any questions on this post? Shoot me a text underneath this, and be aware this week. All right, folks. Thank you, Neil.